into bed. It has been a pretty good night so far. I made dinner earlier. I made like a little pink sauce pasta because we didn't really have enough marinara sauce or Alfredo sauce. So I said, you know what? I feel like this is God telling me I need to work with what I have and make the most of my situation. And I feel like that's been like applicable to just life in general right now. So that's just kind of where I'm at. And I'm trying to apply that sense of just like surrendering and just being more present and being in the moment. So instead of me like stressing like, oh, I don't have the exact right materials to make the pasta that I initially wanted to make, I'm gonna just use what I have and just trust the process. I feel like it came out pretty good. I did find like a pink sauce pasta recipe on TikTok, but I ended up just doing my own thing, and I feel like it came out a lot better. And I feel like that's again applicable to life because, like, honestly, there's a lot of times in life where we don't necessarily have the right things, and instead of trying to follow what other people are doing, we have to just do our own thing and kind of forge our own path in life. And that might be me thinking too much into it, but I feel like everything is connected and everything plays a role wherever we're at in life. So that's just me trying to look at it from a different lens of things. But yes, it's been a pretty good day. I really enjoyed myself today, even though there's been like a lot of uncertainty and like different things arising. I've just been focusing more on being present and doing what I can do in a situation and focusing on God and trusting that, hey, I can't do this all on my own. I know there's a higher power at work on my behalf and that has my greatest good in its forefront of its mind. So I'm just trusting God. I know God got me. I don't have the answers, but God has them. I'm trusting in Him right now, and it's not allowing myself to like overthink or to overdo things. So I can't like focus too much on myself for life because I feel like throughout my life I've always been focused on providing for myself, and it kind of leads to me like wanting to find a way to provide for other people in my life as well. And I feel like I can't always rely on other people, which is something I'm learning to do in this chapter of my life. And that kind of just leads into like a trickle down effect of like it being hard for me to rely on God for a lot of things because I feel like I need to figure it out. But I have to remind myself like in these moments that I wasn't created to carry God weight, and I can't do everything on my own. So I'm just trusting in God to carry me through and just trusting in what He has planned for my life because He knows better than what I know. So we're just trusting in that. I'm surrendering. I'm being present. It's been a nice day. Something kind of stressful happened earlier, but I was like, instead of this throwing me off, I'm going to put on some good music and cook dinner and just vibe out. And that's what I did. I put on one of my little playlists and had like a nice little vibe. So shout to God for shifting my perspective. But I just wanted to check in before I get ready for bed. I have to get up early in the morning to run some errands. So that is like the current plan. I also want to read one of my conversations with my inner self cards. So today, I want to do an integrating card. Okay, so this one's on compliments. What are people always complimenting you on? All right, I don't know how well you can see that. Okay, so something people always happen to compliment me on is definitely like just my sense of positivity and my ability to like change my perspective on like negative situations, which I feel like I didn't plan this, but I think that's just funny that that happens to be a card, and I feel like that's kind of just like literally what I'm doing in this current situation. And for a lot of time, especially after my accident, I was very pessimistic and negative about a lot of things in life. But now that I have just been trying to focus more on like the positive things in life, looking at the blessings, and I took like a positive psychology micro learning course a while back, and it was talking about like looking at things from like a broader lens and not just like honing in on all the negative things that'll make us feel like everything is terrible in life or like the world is plotting against us. But that's not the case. And me just counting like the little blessings in life and like taking the little moments in life, like me and being able to have the opportunity to enjoy music while I'm cooking at home. Just looking at like little things like that, like the little moments, and just being grateful for those, and like just showing more gratitude in life allows us to have more positivity. And that's something I'm just now getting back to, but that is definitely something people have always complimented me on. Um, and then also just like the fact that I'm a hard worker, I always try to figure things out and get things done no matter what. So those are probably like the two things I feel like that people compliment me the most on throughout my life. But I feel like that's like in alignment with what I was just talking about a little earlier. So I think that's this crazy synchronicity. Hey, maybe there's a message there. But I'm about to head to bed. It's like a little after 10 and I need to wind down. So till tomorrow. With my current situation, like being unemployed, trying to figure out my goals and just trying to realign my life in a way that is more conducive to my mental health and my growth, it is very isolating because it's like I'm trying to figure out myself. So I don't really have like the energy or the time to figure out other people. And it does kind of leave you into like a bubble of being alone. But I think also like that's like what is needed sometimes, like just us figuring things out on our own in order to figure out what we want in life. And for me, it's my last video got a little messed up, but it's okay. We're just trying to. I'm trying to learn how to just be and be more present and how to exist without feeling the need to perform or show up in a certain specific way. So as I'm learning to surrender to the process and to life and to God, I'm just going with the flow right now. I'm just riding the wave of life and just trusting that God has it and I just need to show up. And so here we are. But y'all just want to like kind of, I don't really have like any like specific intent behind this video. I just want to like kind of like get my thoughts out. And yeah, I feel like especially for myself, like being like a Black queer Christian, like it is really hard to like show up in certain ways because you feel like you always need to perform. You just feel really isolated, especially like in the sense that when it comes to like the queer community, like a lot of people have been like traumatized by religious trauma in certain ways. So like they feel like they're not meant to be a part of it because they're not loved or accepted, which I feel like in a lot of cases is very true, but I feel like that shouldn't like stop you from building a relationship with God. And in the religious community or like in Christian spaces, it is like really difficult a lot of times because they'll look at you as like how you exist and how you show up in the world is an abomination, or that's not how God wants you to be, which I don't agree with. Like the core sense of what my relationship is with God is that God wants us to love one another, and that's what we should be leading with in life, and we shouldn't allow differences or what we agree with or don't agree with to stop us from loving other people. And I feel like being at the intersection of both of those communities is very isolating and can cause you to feel like there is no space for me. But I'm just trying to like as I'm finding my own space and like trying to cultivate my own sense of comfort in existing, I also want to like be able to like offer that same sense of comfort in being for other people and just like trying to form some kind of like community. Like I've really been searching for community, and I feel like just like not really being able to have that space causes people want to perform more, because like, oh, if I'm able to show up in a certain way, then people will be drawn to me or feel like they're more connected with me and feel like there's some kind of similarity. But then it's like in doing that you're denying different aspects of yourself that God created you to be. And I don't feel like that's how God wants us to show up. And in my life for a long time I did feel like I needed to show up in a certain way just to be accepted and to be fully embraced by whoever it is. And for a long time, like especially like in like high school, probably early college, I was like, I want to be like this perfect Christian. But yeah, I just feel like it was like just really robbing me of like the joy of fully existing as myself, and that's not something I really want for anybody. I don't know where I'm just kind of blabbing at this point, but that was the point of this. It's just like a little video diary for myself to look back on. But as I'm growing and like existing more as Pat and trying to learn how to move throughout this world, I do want to find ways to create like more safe spaces for Black queer Christians because, or just queer Christians in general, honestly, because we don't have those spaces, and I feel like especially like in the Black community, we don't really have those spaces. But I want to be able to like to create those kinds of spaces. Like it doesn't have to be like solely Christian, but like as a Christian myself, I want people to know like you're not alone, and we have those spaces together, and we can create those spaces for us. But again, I'm just riding the wave of life, trying to figure this all out. This is my first time being here, as far as I know. Um, but yeah, I think we all just need to learn how to love each other more and how to accept each other more in this life because the hate and separation isn't really doing us any good. And yeah, yeah, we're just gonna wrap this up because I don't really know what else I need to say. I'm just kind of venting. All right, so I'm getting ready to head to bed. It's kind of early. It's only 11, but I mean, I'm kind of tired since I got up early this morning. I've been up since like 6:37, so we're gonna go ahead and head to bed. It's been a pretty full day. I don't know why I'm so tired, even though I already took a nap, but I guess it really is just because I got up early. I couldn't sleep for a while last night, so I guess it all just compounded, and here we are. Right now, I'm watching How to Train Your Dragon, and tomorrow I want to have like a restful Saturday, like a self care day. I don't have the funds currently to go to like get like a massage or anything, so we're gonna just figure something out at home. But I am probably going to close this video out, just like my little diary room chronicles for this week. So I haven't been the most consistent with filming, but I'm trying to like just meet myself where I'm at and just staying consistent and being more present. And so it's okay. I'm like, I'll just do better moving forward. And I knew the best way for me to do better was instead of waiting until the next week to try again, I was like, I'm just gonna lock in for the remainder of this week. And that's what we ended up doing. So yeah, I mean, it's a work in progress. So again, like I said, I'm just really trying to focus on just being more present and enjoying my time, not forcing anything. So instead of like trying to put on this like performance or like just finding things for the sake of doing them to film and making myself feel like I'm being more consistent, I was like, I'm just gonna lock in with where I'm at, and this is just where I'm at currently. But I'll actually do like a little card before I go to sleep, just for like a nice reflective closing to this video. One sec. Okay, so for this card, it's saying, so I did an identifying card earlier, so I want to do an integrating card for the second one for today. So it's just like talking about like defining moments. Look at your life experiences so far. What have been the most defining moments or turning points? So just like honestly, most of like anything I've overcome or anytime I kind of impressed myself. So definitely, I mean, I feel like the most obvious one is just getting through my car accident and just like coming through that experience and just coming out stronger, and all of the resilience that I kind of gained from that entire experience. I talk about that in like my series, but in my series, the Ride Back. So it's a 3-part mini series I really enjoyed putting that together, and that's like really what got me into like just being more digitally creative with telling my story and sharing who I am. But outside of that, also just like how I am able to tap into my creativity to just like express myself and pour out, I guess, like more of a, like a pure essence of like what I'm feeling, like especially like reflecting on like my recent writing and like a lot of things I'm like working on in the background of my personal life. I'm just really impressed with like the overall creative process and how that's just turning out, and how it's kind of just like becoming something new on its own outside of just like, I feel like once I got to college, a lot of my writing just became like academic stuff, which is cool and all, but I do enjoy like the creative aspect of my overall writing talents, and like just being able to write for myself has been something that's been like a really major like pivotal turning point for myself, like as far as just like expressing myself. And I feel like that's also what ties into like me just being more creative digitally and like putting together like my little videos and like using them as like a storytelling aspect, because it allows me just like to express myself and to just be. Another major turning point I will say like recently is just like choosing to become like fully sober and like choosing not to drink anymore, and just like deciding to like make a shift in my life and just like choosing to get baptized and like just choosing all of these things that are more in alignment with who I feel like I'm called to become, and not just like doing things to fit in or kind of numb myself or like be distractions, and instead like really honing in and locking in on my goals and who I feel like I'm called to be in this life. So it was just like a few things off the top of my head. I thought it's actually kind of a lot of things because it was kind of all over the place, but I feel like it's all in alignment with just like the essential turning point of like becoming more of who I feel like I'm called to be and who I'm meant to be in this life and in general, and like who I'm meant to like reflect to the outside world in order to like inspire or uplift other people who are on similar paths. All you have to do is like really lock in on yourself, and I feel like everything else kind of comes together and works together for your highest good. Just lean in and trust God. Okay, so today is May 9th, I think. I was gonna close out my video last night, but I wanted to close it out today because at first I was gonna initially have just like a little self-care day. But when I checked the weather, it's not actually supposed to rain, it's just gonna be cloudy. So I was like, I'm gonna go for a walk and spend some time outside. So here we are. Um, I wanted to also come and do a little writing. I've been doing the artist way, and I've been talking about that like a little bit here and there. I want to do something like a little more in-depth, talking about the process for me, but I want to like really commit to it first and not like jump the gun. So since we're about to be, well, we are on week 4, week 5 starts tomorrow. So I'm gonna probably start trying to do like weekly reflections, have something to look back at my creative recovery process. So here we are. I look a little scruffy, but it's okay. Cause that's just like the season we're in right now and we're embracing it. So yeah, but yeah, I just wanted to come outside and spend some, get some fresh air really. But yeah, I'm gonna do a little writing while I'm out here and probably do like my recap for the week. All right, so now we're gonna close out this little side quest. I came over here to the park to get some little writing done, and I just felt a few drops. I did get some writing done, so that's nice. But I feel like that's just God telling me like, hey, you spent your time outside, now it's time to go back inside, because yeah, my throat's also getting a little scratchy from the pollen, and yeah, but it's been a pretty good little adventure, and I am glad that I did this. It just made me realize I need to spend more time outside writing, just so I can stay like more present and like not worry about having to be like cooped up or have like the perfect writing environment. And instead I can create that environment wherever I go. And I feel like that's in alignment with like what I've been feeling recently when it comes to just like being more present and focusing on like cultivating like my own sense of peace. And of course, like a lot of that I get from God, and just staying in like a sense of like prayer and meditation, and focusing on the positive and thankful things and the things I have to be grateful for in my life. But and something I'm realizing too, like perfection isn't like necessarily the main objective. It's more so just like showing up. And that's something I really like gained from like just doing my morning pages. And like I just remind myself, I'm just have to show up to the page, and whatever comes out comes out. I'm just a vessel for like all the creativity and whatever God wants to pull out of me in that moment. Not everything I create is going to be a masterpiece. It's just going to be a continuous work in progress, and I might be able to return to it later and it become a masterpiece at some other point. But in the moment, I'm just showing up for myself, and just being able to give myself that space and that opportunity to create without any added pressure. But that's it for today. We're Unplug, and I'll check in later at some point. Probably not today, but yeah.